Some call it the salty Narnia, and some say it's one of the four corners of the earth. I'm on Fogo Island, one of the most easterly points in Canada. It's only a small island with 2,400 people and half the size of Toronto. But every year, thousands of people come and visit this inn behind me. Let's find out why. It's a wild place where coyotes and caribou roam the plains. Giant icebergs dot the bay. The rocks are ancient, 420 million years old. And the people go back a long way too. They are the descendants of English and Irish fishermen, some of the earliest settlers in Canada.
For people wanting to come to Fogo Island, you are coming to the best place in the world. I've been here for over 70 years, and maybe I'm biased, but I think I always recognized the beauties that this island had. Of course, at this stage in my life, I think the beauties get more beautiful.
Cod fishing was the economic and cultural bedrock of Fogo Island, a bedrock that began to crumble in the mid-1980s. Today, the community has found another leg on which to stand: tourism. The Fogo Island Inn lures thousands of curious travelers from all over the world each year. It's owned by registered charity the Shorefast Foundation, which delivers all of its profit back to the region.
My name is Zita Cobb, and I was born and raised here on Fogo Island, and I spent much of my career away, but like many Newfoundlanders, I found my way home, and I am the founder and innkeeper of the Fogo Island Inn. It's very difficult to describe the natural beauty of Fogo Island because it is such a specific and unusual place. The landscape is classified as a subarctic landscape because of the Labrador Current. And so you will see mosses and wild berries and lichens that you would actually see much further north. So it's like the near north in a way. I think we are all feeling a little overwhelmed by the amount of images and data and noise that come at us in our daily lives. And I think places like Fogo Island offer a chance to step away from the madding crowd. And because it's at the very edge of the North American continent on a little island by itself, I think it is a kind of a liminal space. Every object in the inn, whether it's a chair or a table or a light, acts as an object that inherently understands by its very existence that it's a part of a whole, and it's a part of a symphony, and it needs to contribute to the whole that is the inn, and the inn, of course, has to contribute to the whole that is the island. And so each object came about in a collaborative way as a relationship between a designer that came into residence from away, professional designers, and local makers and artisans to dream, what should a dining room chair be? And how is that chair carrying the spirit of the hundreds of years we have of making other chairs on this island? So all of the objects here are in relationship with the past.
The Fogo Island Shop is another initiative of the Shorefast Foundation. When it was launched a few years ago, the goal was to supply the inn with locally built furniture. But soon, people from all around the world were asking to buy pieces of Fogo Island craft to take home.
Our pieces they're not mass-produced, they're handcrafted, they are about place in and of themselves. Their design is about place, the materiality is about place. The people that make them are from here and carry that kind of knowledge and care. Like the Inacon's rocking chair, that one, every single spindle is hand turned on a lathe, hand split on a lathe. All of the pieces are cut by hand and assembled. You're probably start to finish, it's close to 2 weeks to produce a chair like that.
Fogo Island Inn is certainly a property that appeals to people who understand and appreciate the finer points of hospitality, whether it's around a lovely bed and lovely linens and food that's thoughtful and contemporary and traditional. And I mean, people say it's upscale. I never know what that word really means, but let's just say that there is not one gesture in this inn that isn't thought about from the point of view of our guest, and thought about from the point of view of the community and the people here who own that inn. So I think I think really great hospitality puts a guest and a host in a very dignified relationship with each other.
Zita Cobb never dreamed of running a hotel one day. Born on the island, she left her hometown for university and then went on to run a tech company before retiring at age 43. Eventually, the allure of home pulled her back to Fogo Island, but fixing the economy of an outpost town proved no easy task.
Building an inn in a remote community that is a community development project is, I have to say, the hardest thing I've ever done. My career, I grew up here, of course, so I understand the cultural context. I have a love of place that is, as every other Fogo Islander has his love of place. And so I wanted to do this right. Every decision you make, you have to think backwards and forwards. Like in the business world, of course, you think about, stakeholders and impacts. But here, I mean, I think about the people who are dead and gone, and what would they think of what we're doing? Because we're working with the fabric of their culture. And what if we're making translations that they wouldn't consider to be accurate? You have to think like a navigator. Maybe that's and that's what I learned from this is, it's not about leadership. It's about being a good navigator. A navigator is someone who reads all of the clues and signals in this present moment, also has a sense of where did the boat just come from, and a sense of where is this boat trying to go to. And I think this kind of posture as a navigator has been the greatest learning of my life.
My name is Aubrey Payne. I'm a fisherman. I've been fishing for 45 years and I live on Fogo Island. A lot of things that we took for granted now that you see through somebody else's eyes and you say, my God, we didn't realise what we had here. For the ice, for example, right? It's something that we just take for granted, and icebergs to us, it's a menace. It interferes with going fishing in the mornings, and it's a danger to us. It tears up our nets, and it tears up our crab pots, and drags it away. But everyone else, when they look at it, my God. Some people will say, I never saw a real live iceberg. And you get there and say, oh my God, icebergs are not alive. We're almost like I don't know, like a best kept secret. Like, we were supposed to be resettled. We were supposed to be moved off this island in 1949 when we joined Canada. And the government said, you will go. And we said, we're definitely not going. And we're going to go in business ourselves. So we built our fish plant, and we started from that, and which was a lot of pride. In the beginning, there were skeptics. There's probably still some skeptics now. But I remember being into some of the meetings, and they'd say, well, Zita, no, nobody's going to come here. And she used to say, you build it. I'll bring the people. Don't you worry. The people will come. And I guess she's true to her word, right?
I look around the world and see lots of really beautiful communities that I think would benefit from having something like this in their communities. Not that I would be the person to do that, but I would certainly like us to be an example for others to think about how to do community projects, and I'd love to be able to help others with what we've learned. The hardest lesson to learn when times are tough is don't focus on the problems. I think we over-focus our human brains and we got to solve a problem. No, it's not about solving a problem. It's about working with something that has inherent value, and how can we bring that more to the fore. It's a little bit like a ship that wants to leave a harbor. You need to know where the rocks are, but you're not going to get out of the harbor by focusing on the rocks. You focus on the gaps between the rocks.
There are little tiny pieces and little tiny projects that have bigger ripples out. And so, you know, in a way, these little chairs and tables and things have an effect on Fogo Island, on the economy and on, you know, the identity and all of that, but they also hopefully have a ripple effect out into the world. And whether it's another small community realizing that they have something that's really valuable that they can enhance and do something with, or whether it's a big community realizing that place is important and that you know, a pausing and a looking at where we are and what our connections to our fellow human beings are is a valuable thing and can be fruitful.
When guests come, I think everybody who arrives as a guest comes with whatever the content of their lives and their stresses or their dreams for their visit. I would say two things. I would certainly like people to have an experience where they understand the exquisite beauty of being in a community that is supremely adapted to the nature that it's placed within, and to understand that, to have made relationships with people here, and while they're here, have had an opportunity to kind of pull back from the madding crowd and be given back to their own selves in some way that shifts how they see their lives when they go home.
Still to come, it's so much more than ice, snow, and barren landscape. One cruise company can take you to one of the last frontiers on Earth, Canada's Arctic. You're watching Bloomberg Pursuits Canada 150.